Hello everybody and welcome to episode 7 of my tutorial series for Dyson Sphere Program. I'm Icon and today we're going to talk about X-ray cracking and our path to the stars. So X-ray cracking is one thing that I want to talk about. Right now we're researching it, mostly because as it is right now, we have a bit of a problem. We are not producing enough of those red cubes, while we are producing really enough of those blue cubes. The thing here is quite simple. These guys here manage to produce exactly 1 cube per second, and each of these guys is eating a third of a cube per second, so you get the idea. Over here, though, we are merely producing a sixth of a cube per second per story here, so all in all, we're producing only 0.5 cubes of the red ones per second and an entire blue cube per second. We need to upgrade that. But to do so, we'll need more of that juicy hydrogen. And in the early stages of the game, hydrogen is a real problem. We are only receiving a tiny portion of hydrogen here. This recipe is churning out more oil than hydrogen, and X-ray cracking is going to be the solution to our problems. X-ray cracking transforms hydrogen and oil together into more hydrogen. I'm going to crack through the numbers once we get there, but for now, that's all we really need to know about that. So the other thing that I want to talk about while the tech is researching is that we are going to look at our next milestone now, and that's the structure matrix. The structure matrix is going to be the next colored cube, and when we check on out our upgrade tab here, we see the first upgrades are already available that need the structure matrices. So to create structure matrices, we are going to need diamonds and titanium crystals. So titanium crystals are made out of organic crystals and titanium ingots. Organic crystals are something we can't create here. We actually get a recipe to artificially create those guys by combining plastic, oil, and water together. This is one part which is really not an issue at all because we have all the materials on the planet here. It is merely a little bit of a nuisance. But the titanium crystals require titanium ore, and that material is not native to our planet. So that means we are going to need to fly on over to our neighboring planet, Italupi 1, and get the titanium from there, because as it happens to be, we have a heavy abundance of that stuff there. So our first goal is going to be to upgrade our mech to make the travel over there by himself. That requires a couple of things. First off, we need the drive engine technology, which will unlock the space sail, so to say. This tech is what we're going to need to get into space. This is the tech that allows you to travel from one planet to another. And the other thing, which is really important and which I wouldn't travel between planets without, are hydrogen fuel rods. We are researching the tech there as well. Hydrogen fuel rods are yielding massive amounts of energy comparatively, and they also are extremely well fit for the fuel chamber, and they give us the necessary power we'll need for the traveling between stars. Between planets. Stars is something else. That's what we need Wobus for, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So the other thing which is really important and useful to have at this point is a fully upgraded energy circuit technology, or at least as upgraded as you can at this point, because this is basically the number how much energy per second your mech can churn out of his fuel. That's really important because at some point you will use up more energy per second than your fuel provides, but we'll be getting there. It's not that hard once you are confronted with that. So, as we see here, we are now again struggling with the production there. So X-ray cracking is going to be researched in a minute. I have been handling the solar belt in the episodes between, but I haven't fully finished it yet. There's a little bit of a blank space here in between because I didn't know if I would wanted the coal veins. I had to stop because I was running out of foundations there. And, well, yeah, there are a couple of meters left to cover, but we're getting there. So, while we are waiting for the tech, I also wanted to show you something which is really interesting to note. When you are mining out these stones, you saw there, the tooltip showed me only 10 stone, but as a matter of fact, I didn't only receive stone. Let's see if we can find another one of these guys. The larger the stone, the more likely you get some extra resource. This is very important because this is basically your only early game source of titanium ore. Because we are going to need a little bit of titanium ore for the production of things. Here, see? We found a little bit of titanium ore. This is as much of that stuff you will find on this planet. There are no bigger deposits on this planet, but it's really worth your time. And like I said, the larger the chunk, the higher the chance that you're getting some secondary resources. As you see here, the small ones didn't yield much at all. Okay, so let's craft ourselves a, let's see, we got an oil refinery. Let's see, we don't need another extractor. Let's just craft ourselves one refinery in advance. And let's see, maybe one chemical plant. We might need that. So, while we're researching, I'm going to explain the theory behind our next step there. So, X-ray cracking is featuring a recipe where you put 2 hydrogen in combination with the refined oil. That's why I was storing that stuff. And we get out 3 units of hydrogen. If we crack those numbers down, it goes like this. You put 0.5 hydrogen in per second, and you get 0.75 hydrogen per second out. That's really cool. And every facility can transform 1 unit of hydrogen per second into 1.5 units of hydrogen per second. And that'll be a nice bump up for our productivity. This doesn't entirely solve our problem, but it surely will help us out there. So the first thing we gotta do there, though, is we have to cut off this here, because we got to process that stuff now further. So let's see, we're going to get ourselves one oil refinery, and let's see. Oh, well, I don't want to copy that one. So first off, we got to check out where we're going to pull off this recipe. I really want to do this somewhere back here because we are storing that stuff there. So let's lay out some foundation there, get rid of that water so we can work with that. By now, I have a mass production of foundation, really helpful. Okay, so we're going to snake that stuff over here. So let's say we're going to refine over here. Yeah, why not? This does make sense to me. Alright, so let's slap down the refinery. Let's see. Oh, we should probably lay down the belts first so it's easier. There we go. And now we're just going to put that down here. So, X-ray cracking. It's the same thing we do. Just, I mean, it's the same like the basic, but with a higher emphasis on hydrogen, basically. Okay, well, let's get on up there. Power it up. Connect the dudes there. What's another thing there is we're going to provide... Oh yeah, here. We're going to provide new energetic graphite out of this process. So The cool part here is we need that energetic graphite for the production of the cubes anyways, so it comes as a double benefit. So we're going to go like this. 2 belts there. And we're going to keep it expandable as usual. So 1 output for that, pressing tab until I hit the output that I want. It's really important that we don't accidentally mix those. And now we're going to go over like this. Let's erase that for now. So this is going to be the only output that I'm going to connect now. We have a coal deposit in our way there. Down another one like that. Yeah, we have enough room for that. Just wanted to make sure if that's not going to be a problem in the long run. So now we're going to get on down like this. And let's connect these guys. So right now we are out of belt. Let's get that. So this will now give us the ability to set up 1 more lab producing those cubes. Not much more than that, though, because we are sadly only providing 0.5 more hydrogen, and every lab is eating up 0.33 hydrogen. So, yeah, get the idea. So, we are nevertheless going to set that up, because it is an increase of red cube production. And at this point of the game, you either set up a second facility, you grab yourself another crude oil seep, and start a new refinery, or preferably both things, you set up the X-ray cracking. I personally think X-ray cracking is only making things better, so to say, because you're getting more hydrogen out of that, unless you're not using the oil for hydrogen, but for the oil itself, if you want to make plastic out of that, for example. The energetic graphite, though, well, I'm a lazy man. I'm going to store that. I could now pipe it over to the other facility there, and it surely would be smarter. Maybe I'll do that later, but for now, we're just going to store that stuff here in a nice container, and I'm going to take care of that later. Mostly do that because I'm doing a tutorial here, and I don't want to get stuck in the process there too much. Okay. So now we're going to add up more of that. I can't stack another lab on top of this, sadly, so we'll have to lengthen our belt there. I mean, it would be also totally an option to just take the energetic graphite, pipe it down there, and combine it all with a splitter. Maybe I'll just do that later, but for now I wanted a quick solution. So we're going to set up the 2 labs over here. I'm going to set up 2 of them because I know that we don't provide enough hydrogen for both of these guys, but if I'd be only slapping in one of these guys, I'd be not using all the hydrogen that we're producing, and hydrogen is one of these goods which I just can't get enough of, and therefore we're going to increase that. In an upcoming episode, we're also going to use the proliferators to increase our production further. I'm just nudging that topic because I wanted to show you guys that I have that on my screen. I just didn't want to introduce everything at once. For those who are a little bit more experienced, proliferating allows you to even further increase the output of your machines there. So that's X-ray cracking in a nutshell. What we achieved now is not quite enough to keep up with our research, and at this point of the game you are practically confronted with a situation where you either want to upgrade your lab, which is something we ought to do sooner or later, rather sooner than later, or you're going to follow other projects like I did here with my solar panel project. There's always something to do in this game, and therefore we really don't have any time to grow bored, I wanted to say. So I just noticed that I forgot one thing though. With more labs, we need more energetic graphite, so let's make sure we expand that as well. Coal goes in there. So there we go. This doesn't really make us that faster right now, but it gives me always that good feeling that we are getting the most out of our materials. And for me, it's really I really hate the feeling that we are wasting some of that oil, because as you see there, this crude oil seep is draining. It's going lower and lower and lower over the course of the time, so we have to keep up eventually. So we'd be easily able to expand this little facility here as well. So let's check out the ratios here while we're at it, you know. So let's see, we are eating up per lab 2 magnets. Wait a sec, no, here. We're eating up 1/3 of a magnet and 1/3 of a plate there. Okay, so times 3, we eat up one magnet and 1 coil and 1 board there. So we are, as a matter of fact, producing 2 of these here per second, and also 2 of these here per second. Here's the deal, though. We would be now easily able to just set up another production chain of these guys, but then we would be producing 2 blue cubes per second, but not more red ones. As you see here, the research, big problem there is always the highest tier of your cubes, not so much the lowest tier. I personally would recommend you to go for another oil refinery at that point. In my experience, you never have enough production of hydrogen out of one oil refinery. For the sake of the tutorial, I kept things rather small here, though. But up here is another crude oil seep, and we're just going to set this up, because that's just the best thing we can do for the time being. So to travel between worlds, we're going to need those hydrogen fuel rods, like I mentioned there. So the first couple of these, though, I wouldn't recommend you to think that you could craft them automatically or anything. Basically, I am always just grabbing up the materials for these guys, and then I can't remember if these were locked for inventory crafting or not, but basically, you will only produce as many of these guys as necessary to get on over to the next planet. That's quite important to note. So your first batches of that stuff will be rather a smaller thing, but you get the idea. So we also will need more oil in the longer run because of the production of the yellow matrices there. Because here, unlike the recipe right now, we're going to need the oil. So you're going to need pure oil, and for the plastic, you're going to need even more oil. So therefore, it's not like you only need your oil for hydrogen. Therefore, it's a little bit of a tricky thing, all in all. But the cool thing is, if you are doing your refining there only for the sake of oil, you still can use that hydrogen for the sake of multiplying it, and that's what we're going to do here. So let's see, where's my... Oh, we're doing it the hard way. I see. So let's see. Let's do it. I have a chest full of plasma exciters for exactly that reason. There we go. I still haven't set up an automated process for building these guys, but, well, we're getting there. All in all, I wasn't expanding them all to my own liking in the speed that I wanted to, but yeah, it's a progress. It's a process. Okay, so this facility here, I'm going to use differently than the last one. We are going to use the X-ray cracking here, but we're only going to set up 4 refineries here. Sorry, that was not the but that I meant. But we're going to use only the hydrogen here for the sake of research. And we're going to use the refined oil, or the majority of that, for the plastic production and production and I don't talk anymore. So this is basically, to one part, my attempt to increase my red cube production, and to another part, my attempt to get the yellow cube production already started, just so you know what the thoughts behind that are. Because the yellow cube production is strongly linked to the availability of oil, unless you got a natural source of organic crystals, then you can skip the whole oil part. Some planets have organic crystals as a natural resource, and it's really awesome if they do. So here we go. Let's go for standard plasma refining here. There we go. And we get another warning that our research speed is too slow. I take these warnings serious, that's why I'm building this up. And in general, if you are ever unhappy with the speed of anything, just build more facilities of that. That's a rule of thumb in this game. Can't emphasize it enough. This game's meant to be brought up in stupid proportions. So here we go. Oh, I didn't make it efficient this time. So you're see, when you're not copying the machines like I do usually, you get to set up everything manually. Okay. So we're still going to pick up one of these guys. And that's going to be the X-ray cracking facility. Because yet again, we are producing 1 unit of hydrogen per second, and I want to make more out of that. So here we go. And this extra hydrogen will help us a lot. So let's see. We are going to connect that to this place down here. Let's move on down there. Okay. Just trying to make sure that our goods are going to be delivered where we actually need them. And here with that belt of solar panels, sometimes you just... Let's see. Maybe I'm too far away. Yeah, so I'm too close for doing this. So here you either rip out a solar panel, or you just build up a slope there, like that. Just roll on down afterwards, just like any civilized person would do. And here we're going to install the splitter. And this way we're piping in all the extra goodness of the production lane there. Oh, I'm running out of power. Good thing that we got some energetic graphite to put into the mecha core there. Alright. We're still losing energy because the drones are constantly draining. Alright. So, there we go. That's, of course, only this one. Don't forget to configure it to the proper product. And here we're going to pipe out the energetic graphite once more into another storage container. We are going to use these materials later, so it's absolutely fine to buffer them. I already know that I'm going to use these materials later for, if I remember correctly, something down the road here. Can't remember. I only know that energetic graphite was very important somewhere. Hey, well, you get the idea. The problem with buffers, and that's something I really want to emphasize here, buffers are only delaying a problem. So they are basically procrastination devices. Use them with care and be aware of the fact that you are not necessarily doing you a favor. So here's another crude oil seep that we could tap into. Now we have a total production of 3 units of hydrogen per second, and this should get us somewhere. So let's check back to this place. So we see here that each of these guys is eating up a third of that stuff per second, right? Right. So we have now more than enough material to work with, so we're going to set this up like that, and that's all I'll do for now. I have now an overproduction of hydrogen. I use 2 hydrogen per second, and I produce 3 hydrogen per second. It's fine for me. I really don't mind that we have a slight overproduction. What's most important now, though, is I'm producing exactly the same amount of blue cubes as red cubes, and that's the most important part. When you're starting out with a game, it's really important. I can't stress it out hard enough. Don't set yourself too high goals. It is really important that you somehow manage to produce the same amount of cubes of every color. Otherwise, your research will be running really slow. As you saw there already with the red cubes. Now it's going to be much better. I just didn't want to optimize my production before I had the X-ray cracking available because I felt like this was just going so well together. So my good friends, I'll leave today's episode with that. I gave you already a little bit of a hunch about the future there, and we're going to do one more thing though. Set up liquid storage containers. So next episode we are going to travel between planets because my plan is to set up a bit of a titanium extraction site on another planet. So next episode we are going to travel to another planet and set up a small scale mining site there, and I'm going to explain how things are going to go down from that point on. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed that one. I know that this whole X-ray cracking thing is, or I personally felt like it was one of the more complicated things that the game had in store, but if you have taken out of this episode that basically you can use this tech to multiply your hydrogen, then you have understood the most important things. You increase your hydrogen yield by 50% by using this recipe, and that's the gist of it. Thanks for watching. Comments go down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing. I'd be delighted to have you. Have a wonderful day, and see you soon. Bye-bye.